Pastora. It's always you. It's always you. It is. That's better. Oh, Scott. Scott, you missed Genesis, man. I would have liked to get some of your input on some of that stuff. It was good. It was very good. But would have been good to have you. I'm sure you would have had some stuff to say. It is so unbelievably hot. Good God. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. All right, the voice channel's open just in case. Ghost. All right. See, so 4 and 5, right? Or at least 4? 4. The Ministry of Apostles. That's good. 5 is real good, though. And 6 is good, too. You're doing this to me. There you go. All right, the light of the gospel, our heavenly dwelling. L. Look at Scott doing the YouTube stuff that I don't ever remember to do. Thank you. Yeah, do all the YouTube crap. We've had some people stumble around lately. It's good. So as long as we all play the game, we might get one every month or so, which is good. I'll take it. It's doable. We're in Second Corinthians 4. I had First Corinthians up, but now it's correct. So 2 Corinthians 4, light of the gospel, treasure in jars of clay, another source of worship songs galore, the jars of clay. Good stuff, you know. Good stuff. All right, so is there anything worth going over from last time? He's kind of bouncing right now. I guess he's covered a handful of things, but it's kind of a continuation, right? In a sense. In another sense, which we talked about, was that there seems to be a gap. And this is where a lot of scholarship gets the idea that we are missing books. At the very least, we're missing significant chunks of 1 and 2. But from everything I know, to speak carefully, from everybody that I respect, it's pretty well accepted that the belief is that we're missing entire texts that were sent to the Corinthian church. It makes you wonder what the reason is. Could it just be an accident? Absolutely. Things could have just got lost, destroyed, never found. Considering the context and the topics discussed in the epistles to the Corinthians, it's also like, it's not something to just brush over, that perhaps they were lost for a reason. It wouldn't surprise me, I guess, is what I'm saying. But basically, so far in 2 Corinthians, he's continued some of the topics from 1, but he's also continued some of the topics that we don't have. So there's context missing, and there's a lot of guessing about what exactly he's talking about. So we were last week and the week before drawing conclusions based on not a lot, and it's kind of hot water. So it's something to be careful with. Where we are now is not super different, but to a degree, it's a little bit better. So 4 starts, therefore, having this ministry by the mercy of God, we do not lose heart, but we have renounced disgraceful, underhanded ways. We refuse to practice cunning or to tamper with God's word. Cunning or to tamper is interesting wording. Other translations will say something to the effect of adulterating the word. Same meaning or similar meaning at the very least, but he's continuing to attempt to draw a contrast between himself as well as his associate pastors with the teachers who were preaching for financial gain. So the celebrity pastors of the time. He's just continuing on trying to draw these contrasts between the two. That these sets of pastors on Paul's side are preaching the word regardless of how it comes across, regardless of the fact that people aren't receiving it well at times because of the delivery methods and the fact that they're not willing to bend the message to retain the listener, contrasted with the false prophets of the time who were doing exactly that. They were bending, but they were holding true to Christianity just enough to keep people on it because they believed, well, this is still Christianity. Very, very similar to what we deal with today. So we refuse to practice cunning or to tamper with God's word, but by the open statement of the truth, we would commend ourselves to everyone's conscience in the sight of God. And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. Paul grasps the concept that a lot of people did not accept the message. They didn't accept the gospel. Not necessarily because it was obscured or was being hidden from them, but more so because they were blinded by what was going on around them. They were blinded by the false teachers. They were blinded by the celebrity pastors of the time. Again, very similar to like what we deal with today. Christians on large, Christians are blinded by what sounds good. We're blinded by the preaching that makes you feel something, that draws the emotions, and isn't so much actually teaching you the tenets of it or really invoking some kind of conviction inside of you, as it should. In their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. In their case, the God of this world. Really important to lock that away in the back of your head. Because we've argued about this before. That the concept, this is referring to traditional sense Satan. Right? The enemy, the adversary, whatever fancies you. That is the God of this world. This is not the only place he's drawn that way. It's all over. It's all over. This world belongs to the evil one is a general theme across authors. It's not just Paul. It's a well accepted during the time understanding of what was actually going on in the world, who ran the world, who kind of had deciding say, who was the ruler of, and this is just more confirmation of it. So reference to Satan, God of this world, lowercase g. They said, God of this world, so Satan, has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing. So he's keeping the people who already don't believe out of the mix. So it's a deterrent of some kind to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel, the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. Jesus is always described as, not always, often is described as the image of God. When Paul writes, Graves, obviously, image of God is used a lot of different ways, a lot of different contexts across the field of Judaism to Christianity. It's a very versatile term, but oftentimes when Paul uses it in context, he's speaking directly about Jesus. And it's a way of describing who Jesus is, in that he is like directly connected to God. It draws kind of a parallel. In other places, though, Paul teaches the newer Christians and teaches that the Christians are to conform to the image of Christ just as Christ bears the image of God. Same thing, different wording. People have been tripped up about it. There's Mikkel. It's the Theist Fellowship. It's a pretty accurate description. It's a pretty accurate description. 5, for what we proclaim is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, with ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. For what we proclaim is not ourselves, or do not proclaim ourselves. Paul and his apostle buddies were very laser focused on the gospel, on the message. We know this for sure because it caused massive problems in the church. It caused all of the division, which we've talked about the past couple weeks, between the believers at Corinth, because they were all deciding to follow not the message because it was parallel among all the pastors, but to follow the pastor because they were becoming emotionally tied to the pastor, and they were drawn to the entertainment aspect of it, the personality, not the message. So Paul, regardless of that, Paul and all of his apostle homies were on the same page when it came to the message. Because the message is divine, the message is objective, not subjective. The message always remained the same. So there's a suggestive tone that the false prophets, who he's alluding to in all of this, were presenting themselves different. They were presenting themselves as the message rather than the deliverer of the message. And Paul's saying we were the opposite. You guys had problems with us because some of you didn't like some of us, and it's caused you to divide amongst each other. Whereas with the false pastors, you all love them because it's all focused on how it's being delivered and saying what will emotionally engage you. He's continuing to contrast, is all it is. We proclaim is not for what we proclaim is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ is Lord, with ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. 6, for God, who said, let light shine out of darkness, has shone in our hearts to give the light of knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Knowledge is such a wildly important word when Paul talks about the false pastors, because it's always 100% of the time in contrast. He uses it to contrast himself and Apollos and Cephas and all those dudes from the other preachers that the Corinthian believers are around. Knowledge is the difference, which is why it's a part of why I kind of see the knowledge as like the most important thing. If people don't have at least like fundamental baseline knowledge, what the hell does all the fancy shit matter for? What do the one-liners matter for? Like if you have a good base knowledge and then you want the entertainment of the pastors who do the fun delivery and talk about their dog and shit, I think that's fine because you at least know what's going on. You understand when they say something that's a little bit off kilter or not quite right. Like that'll click for you and you'll be like, okay, that I'm ignoring because the rest of what he said was good. Problem is that's not most people. Most people, knowledge is the last freaking part. Treasure in jars of clay. Wouldn't Satan be a viceroy of this world? I suppose. You explain more? Suppose though. Yeah. Of this realm, Mikkel said. Yeah, that's entertainment. I find it entertaining to watch people like Stephen Furtick. I always have. Stephen Furtick, the megachurch pastor that I work directly for, where the tongues thing happened that I told you guys about. There's a handful of like big time pastors that it's entertaining to watch, but it's also like heartbreaking. It's very difficult to watch. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't like kind of entertaining. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Hey buddy, wake up. I have a dog losing it in his sleep. Hold on. Wake up. Wake up, little friend. All is well. All is well. Treasure in jars of clay. But we have this treasure in jars of clay, to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. The knowledge of God, the knowledge of the power, the knowledge of the glory, the knowledge of... I was talking about this with Kat the other day, actually. Like, quick caveat. The term glory is one of these, like, Christian terms that makes me cringe because of the way that it's been used. But also, glory, like, historically, Old Testament, New Testament, doesn't matter. Glory is like one of the most emphatic and important terms when it comes to like faith in general. Glory is like the word, but it's got this, and maybe it's just me, but glory's just got this real just asshole feel to it. To me, it's a personal problem, probably. I just cringe when people say glory, because I just don't feel like they mean it. Like when people talk about like the glory of God in passing, or even in like worship songs, or during I don't feel like they're thinking about what the word means. Like what are the implications of using the term glory to describe someone or something? And then when you hear or you read that glory is then attributed to you, like through Jesus, that should be like fucking mind-blowing to some degree. It should kind of blow your mind. This term glory is such a heavy ass word, and it carries so much weight, and it's just another thing that has lost all value in conversation, like all value. Compare it to like love. Like I love pizza, and I love going for walks, and I love this, but also I love my child and my wife, who I'd happily take a bullet in the head for. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And to use the term all over the place, it just removes so much value from it, and it dilutes the conversation. It dilutes our ability to like actually understand what we're saying to each other. It just drives me crazy. Glory is like the word epic. Yeah, fair. Like everything became epic at some point in the past 10 years. Like, no, very few things are epic, because then the word doesn't make sense. It's very similar to that. Yeah, that's a good example. Anyways, that annoys me. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. So it's the knowledge, it's the power, it's the glory of God, the treasure. Also means other things in different contexts, though. So it's one of those ones that you kind of got to take it as you get it. Jars of clay. Earthenware jars will be another way you see that written. If you have I think only an older Bible will have that, is the earthenware jars. It's the frailty of it. It's the tenuous nature of humanity, the tenuous nature of people. Or they're jars of clay. So he's again, because he loves to do this crap, he's contrasting. You have the knowledge and the glory, the power, the surpassing power of God, and then you have this meek, tenuous, frail humanity. Creator, creation. Through God's power and glory and what are more fun Christian words? Mercy. All of these things that are overplayed and have lost value, but are absolutely true if you actually say them with some kind of intention and meaning. They allow the gospel to exist in the frailty of humanity. But it requires the people to have strength. Got to be there. Glory, 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 worldly honor, spoken praise. I've always thought glory meant end result of carrying out a particular method. It's pretty broad. Where did you pull it from, though? The uses themselves and the definition are broad in and of themselves. Let me see. I'll find one of the good ones here. So this would be a good word study. The Hebrew word used for glory in the Old Testament, heaviness or weight are two of the big ones, and it's a describing term, right? So then when you put the spiritual context on it, it becomes something else, because we all have to remember that, like, from language to language to language, the way that things are expressed is obviously different, but the actual route in which you are expressing the thing and the intention behind the thing and the purpose of the thing, all of that is also different. So if you're trying to express like a feeling in Hebrew, it could be 2 terms. You could express a very similar thing with 12 terms. What would change is kind of like the context or the emotion surrounding it. And Greek wasn't a whole lot different, but the structure was all different. English is dumb. It's terrible. It's much worse. But we do the same thing. We do the same thing. Where we can express something one way and it means one thing. We can express it a totally different way and it could still mean that one thing. But we could also express another way and have it mean something entirely different, because we added more descriptive terms to it, or we added context to it. It can be a lot of different things. The context of glory is what makes it what it is in like a biblical context. Outside of that, I don't know what like the normal definition of glory is. I'd be like what the Webster's definition is. I'm not sure. But I know for Hebrew and Greek, it's like it's that's why I described it as heavy. It's literally means heaviness in Hebrew and is expressed as like a weight. Add the context then, and then it starts to make sense, which is just like that's how language works. The music is spot on. I wouldn't know. I have it muted in my ears because it drives me crazy, but I'm glad. I've tried to cycle away from some of the stuff I had going for a long time there. The power, the might, or splendor of an individual. In Christian theology, this often relates to God. Also, exaltation, fame, glorification, glory of Christ, glory of God. You can't use glory in the definition. I know that's not you, though. I know you just copied and pasted that. Feel like I got this from Logos Bible Study Software. So interesting, though, because even using Logos, you're not getting biblical definitions. You're getting descriptive definitions, which is why words are so hard. And just keeping in mind, too, I'd be interested to know, because I bet it's a pretty high number, the times where glory shows up in the Bible, where glory isn't what they were expressing in Hebrew, where glory isn't what they were expressing in Greek. We added it. We add it because it sounds better. We add it because we want to emphasize, or we add it because we have a hard time expressing exactly what the Hebrew was trying to express. And so it's used as kind of a filler, which is it's the sad thing about the problem of translations, and why the translation issues is not something to be like flippant about. It's a serious issue. It's a significant problem that the translations are not accurate. They're not exact, because they can't be. When I stopped looking at God as some religious being and more as an alien who created and loves us, that was eye-opening to me and helped me pull away from the stereotypical Christian rhetoric, is what I was going to say. I notice people listen to me more when I come across non-religious and just caring and sharing, for sure. I think coming across as religious today is a surefire way to fail. I find it hard to be religious today, because like religiosity just makes me like cringe is the word. When I hear people say glory and I don't know them, meaning like I don't know that when they're saying that word, like there's a weight on them, it makes me cringe. To me, it's like it's almost like blasphemy. When people talk about like the glory of God in this flippant fucking whimsical way, as if it's insignificant. It's significant. It's wildly significant. Dignity, glory, honor, praise, worship. James Strong. That's very apparent in wide application. Okay, so Scott through the Strong is in there. When you are glorified, you have the weight of whatever you've been glorified in on your shoulders, a reputation to maintain. This connects to not taking up the Lord's name in vain, for sure. For sure. This is a good thing. Like, if you get some time since we've started this train, find everything you can about the word glory, but try to find it from like not New English Christian websites. Like go into old Jewish text. What old Jewish texts or explanations can you find for the term glory? Not Christian. If you're trying to figure out like what the Hebrew use of the term was, ignore Christian stuff. Go straight to the source. Go to Jewish scholars. Read about it there, see what you can find. And then do the same for the New Testament. I'd still say avoid Christian authors. Look at just Greek authorship of roughly the same time period and how the term was used and what they're translating to glory in English, because it is different. Greek especially, because Greek describes things in various ways to say the same thing with an absolutely different intention in each different way. From a concise dictionary of the words in the Greek Testament and you're just giving the source. Got it. Yeah, it'd be good. I think it'd blow your mind if you look. And then if you do that with a lot of different like hot topic words, I guarantee you will get to a place where when you read your Bible, your brain is destroying itself because you're thinking about how much of this is not exactly what it should be. How much of this is different. And then you'll start taking all of it to other sources, trying to get as low down as you can in the game of telephone to see what was actually said. You'll find it's different. It's different. The reality is there's no way to publish that because nobody will read it because it's really hard to make sense of. It just doesn't translate. It's the sad reality of the world that we live in. Unfortunately, I highly recommend the Logos software. Deep into the rabbit hole for sure. Yeah, Logos is great. They make you pay for a lot of stuff, but like using the Bible is great. There's definitions and all that. It's really, really good. I use it. It's really, really good. I have a lot of problems with it too, but it's great. I mean, it's great. As far as like having a Bible on your computer, it's good stuff. It's a beautiful software. All right. So we talked about the treasure. We talked about the jars of clay. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. That's one of your, bumper sticker quotes. We get those a lot. We see them a lot. It's used a lot. It's just simple encouragement, which was a big thing that Paul did. Pretty much always, all places with all people. Hey, buddy, hush. Always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. It's exactly what it sounds like. For who we live are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh. So death is at work in us, but life is in you. Hey, shh, quiet. Okay, you gotta be quiet. 13. Since we have the same spirit of faith according to what has been written, I believed and so I spoke. We also believe, and so we also speak, knowing that he who raised the Lord Jesus will raise us also with Jesus and bring us with you into his presence. I believe and so I spoke is out of Psalm. It's Paul's thing. He's always gonna do it. For it is all for your sake, so that as grace extends to more and more people, it may increase thanksgiving to the glory of God. So we do not lose heart. Bumper sticker galore. Doggo dreaming about glory definitions. Doggo is very vocal, this guy. He is the most pansy German Shepherd probably on the face of the planet, which was the opposite of the reason that we got him. But we love him anyways. He's just not going to be good for what we intended to use him for. But we love him. He's a good boy. He's a good baby boy. Baby boy. You have no idea how surrounded I am. 2 women, not saying that they're animals, but just saying. 4 dogs, 4 cats, 3 snakes, and a lizard. I take ownership of the lizard. That's all. That's all. 2 of the dogs technically are mine too. Hey, bud, you want to come up here? Do you want to come up here? Will you shut up? Come here. Come here. Okay, now shut up. You gotta at least show face. Why are you talking? Why are you talking? You gotta be quiet, okay? Take your bow tie ass and go lay down. He's got a bow tie collar. We need a mascot. That's a great idea. I like that idea. All right, 16. Hey. Quiet. Okay? What are you crying about? What are you crying about? Okay, then get out. How about that? Go. Be free. Goodbye. 13 cats, bro. But cats are the easy ones. I wouldn't mind the cats. The dogs are a pain in the ass. The snakes, not really a pain in the ass, but a lot of electricity. And they take time too. But like cats are like set it and forget it. It's like a Glade plugin. They just go live their lives, you know? St. Francis of Assisi. All right, so we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. Continual growth is all that it is. Renewed day by day. I feel like that is even a Christian trope at this point. Paul uses the concept several different places, but it's the process of salvation, right? I think Ghost was talking about this at one point. Is that like salvation isn't something that you like get, like you pick it up and you have it. You don't just like achieve it. He's your dog, Kat said. I admitted it after a minute. I said technically 2 of them are mine. He's obnoxious. Are you home? Is that why he's being obnoxious? It's the process of sanctification. And I feel like cultural Christianity has conflated the two, where like salvation and sanctification are 2 different things. And technically they're not. You could do gymnastics and make them 2 different things, but in essence they're synonymous. The process of sanctification is salvation. Depending on your theology, I guess, is the caveat. Because there are the people who dogs just went on each other's throats. There are the people who believe that no matter what you do, once you have put your hand up at the front of church during the worship song and some guy has come prayed over you, no matter what you do, you could go fund the Church of Satan, drink the goat blood, all that shit. No matter what you do, you could never lose your salvation. You could never no longer be saved. I don't subscribe to that. If you do, then we could argue. But if you are like me, where you believe somebody could choose to reject God after the fact, where if you believe somebody goes off and kills 35 people, assaults children, give the worst case scenario, but that individual is not still saved, quote unquote. They're not still going through the sanctification process. They've abandoned it. You have to believe that if you're a free will person. If you're not about free will, you're Calvinist, you're all about predestination, totally, you win. Because then all sorts of things that don't make any sense are possible. But if you are a free will person, then it just is what it is. You're renewed day by day, but you could stop doing that. And sanctification, salvation would end. It would cease. Doesn't mean it can't start again, but it means while you're actively engaged in debauchery, you're not being sanctified. Just by definition, it's not what's happening. Joe rescued 2 cats by himself. One cat. You were there for the other one, so you were a part of that. Is salvation up for grabs? I think so, yeah. If you mean that exactly how you said it, then I think so, yeah. If you mean it in more of a philosophical sense, then I'm not sure. Okay, so renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. As we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, and the things that are unseen are eternal. I actually love that. I love that because that is genuinely like how I view life. I am, and that's not to say like I don't like monetary things and tangible things, because I do. But I truly view things as like, I find it so bizarre that we live in boxes that are full of like shit and stuff and things. And if you really think about it, they're all distractions. It's all distractions. Put yourself back like, do biblical times just because it's easy. Imagine you were around like when Jesus was around, but you didn't know Jesus, you didn't know about him. Just time period wise. There's no TV, there's no cell phones, there's no contacting anybody unless you know where they are and can get there, which is a very small number of people on the planet that you have any sort of access to whatsoever. The level of focus, which is a huge reason why religion was such a massive part of history, is because people were not distracted, so that they were consistently engaged in what the fuck is going on here. What is this that we're doing? What is life? What is the world? How is all of this happening? What is happening? Also, just like this, the wildness of like traveling outside of your normal little community and seeing just whole different shit you never seen before, people who don't look like your people look like. Now we know everything. I can see what people look like in a place where I'll never step foot ever until I die. It's entirely different. But the distractions alone allowed people to diligently seek God without distraction. Now, even within religions, they're full of distractions. Even in a church, you have fog machines and you have music and you have preaching that has nothing to do with the Bible. And you have coffee and you have little get-togethers that have nothing to do with Christianity or the Bible. Even in church, it's full of distractions. I'm the type where I think all of this is intentional. From the television, the government trying to distract us, make us stupid, make us lazy, keep us from actually thinking about what's going on, to the religions doing the exact same thing. The dumber the congregation, the more distracted the congregation, the more emotionally vulnerable the congregation, the more manipulatable you are. The more they can get you to just go along with whatever it is they preach. The more they can get you to give to keep the church open. Everybody's just chasing their tail. And nobody's actually one, like, learning what the Bible actually says. And very few people, in my opinion, are actually seeking God in like the traditional sense. People are seeking God through distractions. I don't think you can find God that way. I think you can find fleeting emotional reactions that way. Paul honestly sought God. But even like Corinth, distractions, all distractions. It's not just people meditating, like trying to connect. It's such a simple thing. All things are seen, all things that are seen are transient, all things that are unseen are eternal. Close your fucking eyes and like pray. Don't read stuff, don't read a devotional, baby girl. Don't listen to a YouTube video about theology. Like, do those things. But if you're trying to seek God, don't do those things. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I'm going to seek God by reading Jesus Calling, which are words from some random ass lady who took some Bible verses and attributed them to each day of the year and then gave her two-piece of what Jesus would have said. As a quick devotional for encouragement or small short information, as something informative, that's great. But specifically trying to connect to God, close your fucking eyes, put earplugs in, and focus. It's all around you. Like, this shit, God is everywhere. He's everything. And yes, engage through people, engage through text, engage through lecture, engage through all those things. Very specifically, if somebody is trying to interact with the other side of reality, I am a firm ass believer. Nobody is doing that through a distraction. Those things are all good and they have their place. But if you're trying to connect with the other side of reality, with like that which created everything, I think it requires sensory deprivation, which is why I think like people use hallucinogens and stuff, because it deprives them of their normal reality, their normal senses, their distractions. It takes them quite literally somewhere else. I'm not condoning that. I don't think it's the way to do it, but I'm saying I think that's why some people do that. But like, eyes closed, ears shut, clear your mind, and actually engage. If I had to guess, most people are not doing that to the degree that they're doing the other things. I am one of them, like a lot of the time. Because I trick myself and I lie to myself that becoming more educated or reading this and listening to that, that's going to bring me what I need to be able to connect, when I know that that's not true. When I know that the best I've ever got, yeah, it's Sarah Young, Jesus Calling. The best I've ever got in terms of like truly feeling like I'm connected to God has been with my face on the floor, with nothing. I'm not listening to anything. Nobody's talking. I'm not watching anything. Just quiet. Quiet. I'm about to sound like a real hippy dippy here. You are energy, right? Like, I feel like most of you guys understand that. It is the scientific reality. You're energy. You're made of that. Living things are. God is not that dissimilar to that. Ghost talks about frequencies. Big believer in it. And I think everything that is around us inhibits the frequency, but it is there. It's always accessible. But when we're intaking all of these other frequencies, when we're tapped into all of these other frequencies, you're completely drowning out the one. You have to drown out the others, and then the one becomes accessible. And I feel like it's not what people are doing. Yeah, I'm not bashing Jesus Calling. I'm literally having Kat go through it right now. What I mean very, very specifically is that if you're trying to connect to God, like on a personal level, you're trying to literally understand God personally, like feel, hear in not an audible sense. It's not through Jesus calling. It's not through a book. It's not through a YouTube video. In my opinion, like, fuck me. Who am I? It's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. It's not through anything. I think it's through you. Otherwise, what the hell is the image of God? What is the point of prayer, which is the most intimate thing you could possibly do in the context of like your religious faith? What is it? None of what the Bible teaches about connection to God makes any sense if it's done through something else. It makes no sense. The Bible does not back that at all. It backs quiet. It backs prayer. It backs meditative. The term meditation is a word that was in a lot of the Bibles for a very long time and then slowly went away. But being meditative, important. I'm so happy I'm isolated from the Christian world. What is Jesus calling? Well, I can't believe you guys don't know what it is. It's like the most stereotypical. And I'm not bashing it. I bought it for Kat recently, and I'm asking her to read it because it's not bad. It's just like it's a cliche daily devotional is what it is. Look it up. It's the best-selling daily devotional of all time. Jesus Calling. What it is every day you get a verse, and then she writes a page, a small paragraph, from the perspective of Jesus, which I never liked that concept because it's as if she's speaking for Christ. And I kind of have a problem with that. However, for some people, I think it does good. As a whole, not a fan. But that doesn't mean that it's not beneficial to at least some degree for the right people. And hopefully for people who can read it and be like, nah, that's not quite right. But I get the concept, and it's a good concept because it's a biblical concept. She tries to put her twist on things sometimes, but it's never like atrocious. It's never really, really bad. In the midst of it all, Paul saw his inner soul, the part of himself that was destined for eternal life, as being renewed day by day. Yeah. Be still and know that I am the Lord. Right. There are so many indications in the Bible that like the way of understanding God is to shut down, unplug. And that was written to people who were not plugged into anything. That was written to people who were not distracted by a lot. They were distracted by some pagan stuff going around. They were distracted in the New Testament, in both, by prostitution and things like this. But like the list of things that were distractions during the writing of the Bible, Old and New, were not a lot. And even then, the Bible emphatically tells you to disconnect from your normal life to seek God. What would be said today with how absolutely trashed everybody is in terms of being distracted? I feel like half of the Bible would be about getting the fuck away from electronics and from certain people and from your house. Like, get in nature, disconnect, get in quiet, or the sounds of nature, like the sounds of creation, not artificial things that people made, and connect. Be still and know that I am the Lord is one of my favorite things out of the Bible. There are a handful of verses that are like absolute top notch. It's one of my favorites. Romans 5:3-4 speaks powerfully on this topic. Suffering is part of the deal and essential for growth, evolution, and learning. I believe that experience holds greater value than theory. Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. In so many different aspects, I totally agree with that. On a spiritual level, I agree with it. On like a career level, I agree with it. On a hobby level, like on literally every level, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm just not thinking of something. I agree with that. Experience holds the greatest value for anything. It's like, yeah, I'm glad you said that. So people will literally listen to YouTube videos about how to pray, right? Somebody will spend hours and hours or days collectively over months listening to people talk about how to pray. The person will not just shut up and pray. They're conceptually praying, which is not praying. They're trying to grasp like the theory of it, the concept of it, and in doing so, they're not doing it. It's like young guys who watch all this like entrepreneurial things and listen to Andrew Tate and all these self-starter business things, door-to-door sales, whatever. They listen to thousands of hours of this crap, but they never go out and do anything. They just sit and rot away listening to it. You're never going to become anything. You're not to be a dick, but like that young man will always be a failure. Learning the concept of something is not learning the thing. It's learning the concept. It's learning the theory. It takes then like a dramatic shift of like, okay, I spent an hour on concept. Now I'm going to spend equal amount of time on application. I'm going to now go shut the door, put earplugs in or noise canceling headphones or whatever. I'm going to tell everybody, leave me alone. And now I'm going to apply the concept. I feel like our culture doesn't do that. It's all just consume, theory, and then you just restart, consume, and then theory. There's no application. Irony. Imagine plants bitching about sunlight being hot, all while not understanding photosynthesis. I see suffering as a type of photosynthesis. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It is like photosynthesis, for sure. That's a great way to put it. It's extremely ironic. Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. Oh, but it's just like one of those sad things, man. Like it drives me really, really crazy. It drives me really, really crazy. And what drives me the most crazy is that I still fucking do it. Right? Like I'll still catch myself doing it. To the point where like the application process for me, I have to schedule it. Because I'll get stuck in the cycle of consume. I'm doing a lot of different things like all the time. I'm very obsessive with the things that I'm interested in and things that I dedicate like time to. But I'll still get caught in like the consuming cycle. Consuming, theory, understanding, knowledge. But I'll just, you'll just reel and go in circles and circles and circles. And you have to force yourself to stop. Like stop. Because you're not remembering all that shit, man. Nobody is. Like consume enough to apply and then apply. And then consume more and then apply. And consume more and apply. And the spirituality aspect is no different. Like consume some of this stuff and then apply it. What can be applied? If it can't be applied, at least shift it from like reading the Bible or listening to me talk about the Bible, like the glory thing. Go apply that shit. Go look into that. Don't just listen to me rant about it for 5 minutes and a quick back and forth, like in the chat. Go do it. And then you'll see. Because you can hear me talk about how translations are super problematic for the past year. And you could still not really, you're like, Joe's just kind of weird. He has some of these weird beliefs, but in general, I like what he says. So I'm going to sit here and listen to him. Go take the time and find out if I'm crazy or not. Go look. I'm super confident with a lot. And I feel like I'm honest when I'm not confident in something I'm telling you guys. I'm very confident because you're all pretty damn smart. If you took the time to go look into, start with glory, but look into other things, you'll find the inconsistency. You'll find the reality of the translations. Just they're fucked. They don't work. So some did the best they could. Some completely blew it, whether they meant to or not. Either way, we're stuck with the Bible we have, and we have to live and function off of it. Go look. Go see. I know some of you do, but I bet not everybody does. Here's a quote that enriches me from Austrian poet Rainer Maria Rilke, or Rilke. I don't know. We are only where we praise nonetheless. That's pretty good. We are only where we praise nonetheless. Yeah, I like that. I like it. What does that author write? Is it a poet? Oh, you did. You said poet. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Is there other good stuff? We are only where we praise nonetheless. I like that. That's really good. Yeah, because if we don't suffer at all, then we get stuck in a comfort zone and sometimes we never grow. So suffering is definitely a part. These storms will pass. I don't think it's possible to grow if you're not uncomfortable. I'm one of those guys. And maybe you wouldn't call that suffering, but I think like most people in 2024 would call discomfort suffering. But I don't think you can get better at anything or become better or stretch in any sense of the term unless you are at least uncomfortable. But normally, I think you'd suffer to some degree, depending on what it is. But I think there's discomfort no matter what. Praise and focus are intimately related. They're absolutely related. This will be the last thing. Kat and I were talking the other day about like repetitious prayer. Letters from a young poet. All right, let me pull that up before I forget. Letters from a young poet. Is there an audiobook? Because that is the question. There is. Beautiful. All right, I'll listen. That was great. That was a great quote. Last thing. So Kat and I were talking about like repetitious prayer, which we've talked about too. The Bible talks about it in primarily a negative light, but then it also encourages you to do it. So I remember we had a kind of a conversation about it, but we were going back and forth about like take the Our Father, like Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven, blah, blah, blah. All y'all Catholics know all of them. Like Glory Be, Hail Mary, Our Father. I could still say them, all of them. I don't think I've prayed any of them in probably 15 years. Maybe 20 years. But I still know them because we repeated them over and over and over with absolutely no intention, no meaning. It was not praise, and it is not prayer. However, the reality is that one of the kids next to me in Catholic school could have been pouring their heart out as they said, Our Father who art in heaven. They could be meaning it, like truly meaning it. Every word they're uttering, their heart is like pouring into the word. Because if you say the words, it's a pretty serious prayer. So if the praise is there, which takes intention, and the focus is there, which is the only thing that allows you to actually praise, then that's prayer. What I was doing in Catholic school was not prayer. I was repeating shit. That's all that I was doing. I was memorizing and I was regurgitating because I was forced to. Not one time did I say Hail Mary and think about Mary. Not one time did I say Our Father and meditate on the words as they came out of my mouth. I didn't attribute the glory to the words. I just said the words. Nothing to it. So we're talking about is that okay? And like I said, I know that we talked about it too. But it's exactly what Ghost and Pastor were just saying. The praise, to me, praise requires focus. Otherwise, praise is not praise. Same, swap it for prayer. Prayer requires focus. Otherwise, prayer is not prayer. It's just you babbling. It's you babbling or you regurgitating something. And that's still what we like. That's what Christians do. A lot. That's what a lot of Christians do. Luckily, a lot have moved away from that. but it still happens quite a bit, I think. And I think that's how most people still read the Bible. I think most people, in my experience, read the Bible as kind of like a quota. Like, I'm going to read the Bible in a year. I have to read these verses every day. And so they just rush through it. And also, that shit makes no sense because the Bible in a year has you skip around all over the place. And it makes me want to puke. It's so atrocious and it's so bad for people who aren't like really astute biblical people. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But beside the point, they rush through it because it's like, this is my quota. There should never be a quota when you're reading the Bible. If you read 2 verses, great. Because you could read 2 verses. We've done it before where like I've read 5 verses for an hour because we talked about it, or I explained a whole bunch of stuff. It's very easy to take like chapter 5. You could read this in 3 minutes. Today was short, so maybe 35, 40 minutes to read 2 paragraphs. Because like I'm reading it, and then we're stopping and talking about it. I'd like to chime in. Okay, on Discord or in chat? The Discord voice thing is open. Okay. But while we wait for it's the intention. When you pray, it's the intention. When you read the Bible, it's the intention. With anything that has to do with like spirituality, it's the intention. And this is why I believe that most Christians are not Christian, and I don't have any problem saying that. It's because I don't think any of them have any intention behind what they're doing. I don't think they're focused. I don't think they actually know what praise is, and I don't think they're actually doing it. I think they feel like they have quotas. I think they feel like they want to be a part of something. And I think they feel like they have a community now, which are not inherently negative things, but they also don't make you a Christian. Being a Christian doesn't require any of those things necessarily. You could be a Christian in the middle of nowhere and never have contact with another human ever. The Bible talks a lot about sharing the gospel in community. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you could absolutely get lost on a stranded island with no other humans, no community, no worship music, even no Bible. And you could be a better Christian than most Western Christians because your intention is right. And when you're praying and you're saying things, you mean it. Like when you spill your heart for some girl that you love or some guy that you love. Your kids. It's with intention, it's with meaning. You fucking mean it. It's not this every night I have to pray. I'm really tired tonight, so I'm just gonna like thank you, God. I really appreciate everything you've done for me. I don't think I'm a dick. I don't think God gives a shit about that at all. In my opinion. I'm sorry if that's rude, but I just don't. I don't. The Bible says he doesn't. It's empty. It's empty. If you can't think of anything significant, like if you can't pray with purpose, I don't think you should. Because the Bible kind of says not to. Maybe do something else. Just quietly meditate. Just try to like feel the Christian cringy term, but try to just like feel the Spirit. Try to just feel God. Sometimes you can't think of anything to say, and that's fine. But then shut up. Just try to feel. Like stay plugged in. Have quiet. Be still and know that he is God. Do that. Rather than like flippantly saying words because you feel like you should. Because you have to pray. So you end up saying a bunch of stuff that just like there's no heart behind it. There's no meaning behind it. In order for something genuine to exist, counterfeits must also exist. It's frustrating. Vain prayers. So do you think in order for genuine prayer to exist, there has to be disingenuous prayer? I don't know if I agree with that, unless I'm just not thinking about it all the way. Meaning, like, I guess I get it on like a bigger picture, but it's mostly just because I believe you'll never have everybody praying in a genuine sense. But I think you could. I just know that you never will. Maybe I'm not thinking about something though. Christianity is the safest gang organization on earth, depending on our location. I think Jesus was a total renegade. Society is so culty. Jesus was a rebel. Yeah, that's how I always describe it. He was a rebel. That's what he did. All he did was F stuff up. All he did was cause problems for establishments. The religions, the governments. All he did was just really piss people off, like a lot. Christians don't do that. Christians right now are bending over and spreading for whoever is trying to F with them. I would rather listen to you explain the story than be in church with people only being nice on Sunday. But when I'm in my mind at work and my client is asleep, I tend to just sit back and talk to God in my head. Yeah, which I think is the best thing. One thing that I used to do is like I'd write on my hand, like a reminder. And anytime I saw the thing on my hand, I'd literally just stop and like check it. And even if it was just like acknowledging that that God exists, that this is a real thing, that even in the mix of my daily life and all the busyness and all the craziness, like, oh shit, that's right. Like there's like this massive thing that created everything, and there's something really wild going on that I'm absolutely ignorant to, and I'd like to be a part of that going the way that it should. It was just a reminder. And then I had a buddy who we would both wear classic rubber bands, and whenever one of us seemed like we weren't like plugged in or paying attention, or if one of us did something like against our values or said something that we shouldn't have said, we'd look at each other and like snap the rubber band. And that too was like a cue of like, shit, got it. I'm back. I'm clued back in. But I think that's good. Just talking. That's what I tell people to do. Just talk. As weird as it is, just like pretend like there's somebody sitting there and just talk. It doesn't have to be like this stereotypical worship, praise, glory of God. You're so magnificent and your eyes burn holes in the mountainsides. It's ridiculous. It's disingenuous. It's not real. If you want to write a poem like that, cool. That's great. But I don't think it's optimal. If you're trying to like connect with God, I don't think it's optimal. I think being transparent and just honest, because if you believe like God knows everything, who the fuck are you fooling? Talking like that. Who are you fooling? Being an asshole 2 minutes earlier, and then going to God and talking about how magnificent he is and all, like, dude, just be real. Just talk like you talk. Be who you are. Because if you believe in God, he's listening to everything you're saying all day, and that guy's not fooled when come 8 o'clock and you're praying, you sound like a fucking nun. That's my belief. Take it or leave it, I guess. Every concept has an opposite. Okay, yeah. That's what being in the spirit means, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. We all need community. That's why fellowship. No. Minus per person, Holy Spirit seems the issue. I don't fully understand what you mean, but the first part I do. We all need community, yes. My point is that I think you could have somebody on a deserted island who's closer to God than Christians who are in a community church where the church is not real, where they don't actually incorporate God. It's a community center. There are plenty of secular community centers. It doesn't make those people spiritual. It doesn't connect them to God. It doesn't make them, quote unquote, saved. Community doesn't equal Christian. Christian equals Christian. With Christianity should come these other things. Optimally, it includes these other things. Not required. You could achieve or begin and perpetuate the sanctification process all by your damn self. It doesn't require that. but it should include it. You could, though, have community and fellowship and Bible study and worship music and not in any way be connected to God whatsoever. That's what I'm saying. You should have both. Yeah, that's optimal. But you could absolutely have no God in all of the Christian culture. I see it all the time. Kat, whenever you're ready, you can just cut me off because I gotta roll out of here and get Zaya to bed. While we wait for Kat, reminder, Sunday. Well, I guess I'll post a poll for Sunday because it's Father's Day, right? Or Mother's Day. What day is it? It's a day. What day is Sunday? What is the holiday? My calendar doesn't tell me. Is it Father's Day? It's Father's Day. Okay, so Sunday is Father's Day, so I'll probably post a poll about Bible study. We might again push it to Monday. If we push it to Monday, I'll move the event. I think I failed to do that last time. Very sorry. I'll move the event though, and that's that. So I might post a poll. I might just decide, depending on what I'm able to do. Either way, though, whether it's Sunday or Monday, we're in Genesis because now Sunday is Old Testament, Thursday is New Testament. I'm really glad we did this. It's good for my brain personally, and it was a lot of fun. Doing Genesis on Monday was good. It's very different, so it's like it's just fun. I don't know. I had a good time. So that's the deal. So we'll do that on Sunday, and then back in 2 Corinthians on Thursday. We're doing both in chronological order, to the best of our ability. We're doing them in chronological order, so the stories will line up as best they can, and you can actually kind of follow along as best you can. Lots of people come to church to catch the spirit or get some vibrancy from God and his people, but even one person faking the funk can bad seed a fellowship. Agreed. Hot take, everyone is spiritual. The question is, what spirits are they host to? 100% agree. I don't think it's a hot take at all. At all. In 2024, it's Parent Day number 2. Hell no. Hell no. Some of the pre-scripted prayers are really cool. Could we utilize them as a tool in our spiritual practice? Can we learn from the initial intention of the authors? I've been curious about this. Yeah, that's what Kat and I were talking about. Because she was like, well, what about the Catholics? Like, is what the Catholics are doing, is it wrong? No. That's what I was saying. It's like, if you're in a Catholic church and you're reciting the Our Father, because I agree, there's a lot of pre-scripted prayers. I encourage people to use them. But what I tell them to do is like print the prayer out or have it on your freaking phone or whatever, but read it and stop at every line and actually think about what you are saying. And then once you memorize it, you have to do that even more because the human brain works in such a way that once you have something memorized, it will not give as much capacity to the thing. Because your brain sees that as I can save power here, not put as much into it because I know this now. So you have to intentionally, when you do those prayers after you know them, be like, slow down. Our Father, what is our Father? What does that mean? Like, that's very personal. That's like a father to a child. Who art in heaven? Okay, what does that mean? Well, he's above. He's on the other side of the veil. It's the other reality. That's you. Wow, that's really big. Hallowed be thy name. It's breaking the whole thing down, like in actually freaking thinking about what it is that you are saying. I think prescriptive prayers are awesome. They're just really, really dangerous if you are not aware and you're not accountable and responsible in the way that you use them. That's all. I'm a big fan of them. They're just really, really dangerous. Talk like he's a father who loves to hear and see our faith. I talk to him just like he's one of us, even though I know how badass he is. Agreed. Reciting a pre-written prayer won't work unless you grasp the meaning. Right. It's all about the the understanding and the intention of it. If you can pray it and you can truly if you can grasp it, conceptualize it, apply it in your brain, then it's good. If it's Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, and you have no clue what you're saying, no, don't do it. Bad. You're better off just silently meditating. Like, try to connect until you find one that you can like, damn, I can really get behind what is being said here. I would love to see like people like us write some. I would love to see that. I've written some in the past that were like just for me, but that I did recite because they're things that were important to me, like perpetually. That'd be interesting to see. If anybody's willing to do it and you post one, I'd love to see it. But I understand sometimes those things are personal. So, Kat, if you want on, baby, let's go. I got to put Zai to bed. I see you in the room. I just don't see you unmute. I'm about to text Kat when we're in the same house. That's really embarrassing.
It is pretty embarrassing. Hi, friends.
Hey there.
Hey, friend.
What's up?
I just want everybody to close their eyes for a second. It's Sicily, 1912. But it's actually August 14th, 2021. And Joe took me to an animal expo. And it was a 45-minute drive. And he said, we're not getting any more animals. It's not going to happen. Enjoy the snakes, hold the lizards, whatever, but we're not bringing any home. And he kept going on and on and on about how we're not going to bring home any animals. And then we walk into the building and we get checked in. And the first booth that Mr. Martin sees is a booth full of kittens. And so we went and we talked to the crazy cat lady, who was indeed a crazy cat lady. And she goes, oh, do you want to hold one? And Joe said, yeah. And I said, oh, it's going to happen. And he picked up Zeno and he said, where's the ATM? And then we brought home Zeno. 2 cats, Joe, that I cannot claim.
The other one I saved from a warehouse.
The other one you saved from a crazy lady.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. She was a crazy farm lady. A crazy barn.
Allegedly.
Lady. She was
alleged.
Yeah, barn lady. Yeah. I mean, it's fair. It's fair. But none of it would happen were it not for you. So
that's not fair.
It is fair. I'd have one dog and that would be all.
And how boring would your life be?
I mean,
boring.
It'd be more boring, yeah. I mean, my life before you was mattresses on floors and no decorations, you know?
And boiled chicken. Can't forget.
Boiled chicken every day. Every day.
Gross. We season chicken in this house, baby.
We do. Joe, it seemed God put these cats into my life because my girl and I can't have kids. Probably, yeah. You need 5 cats to every 1 kid that you wanted, though. So if you wanted 3 kids, you should have 15.
Absolutely.
Or is it 10 to 1? Is it 10 to 1? It's 10 to 1.
I mean,
so you should have 30.
Yeah.
And if you wanted 2, you should have 20, so you need to get 7 more.
I mean, it's cat math.
Joe exposed your freaking soft as butter. I mean, it's true. It's true. She's turned me into kind of a bitch in a sense. In the softy kind of way. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Joe likes when I catch him frogs when we go out.
Yeah, except last time you pussied out and I had to catch it.
Oh my god. That frog was huge, dude. It was a big frog.
And I caught it, so.
You did not as big as the one that flew out of my tiny lady hand. Mine was way bigger.
The one you didn't catch?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Just wanted to be
I
clear.
had a whole leg and a whole peat right in my paw before he left.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count. You have
Okay.
to secure the frog. for
Mine
it to
was
count.
bigger.
Yours would have been bigger had you secured it. You did not. All right. I gotta go put my kid to bed. Sunday I'm gonna guess will probably be off. If it is off, we'll do Monday. So I'll change the event. So just be aware. It'll still be at 6 o'clock on Monday if we do it Monday instead of Sunday. It'll be Old Testament, Genesis. We talked about creation a bit. We talked about the firmament, the flat earth, the dome. We're going to get to giants pretty soon, some angel stuff. So if you don't normally come on Sunday, I would encourage you to come. It was pretty good. It was a good time. Other than that, I got nothing. So y'all have a lovely night, and I will see you on Sunday. Graves, good luck with 13 cats. That's a lot of cats, bro. That's a lot of cats walking around.
Rate me up. I'll send you kitty cat food.
How many cats did you have, Cat? Like at the top?
I don't know, honestly.
You have probably more than 15, though.
At least 15.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of babies.
Crazy.
But I was a child, just so that we're clear. I was not a cat hoarder.
Yeah, no, it was her childhood. All right. Let me see. Oh, yeah, that's it. Happy Father's Day. If we do not talk on Sunday, it is not Parents' Day. Fuck all that. It is Father's Day for fathers, because fathers are important.
Wait, what?
Yeah, well, they're trying to get rid of everything, you know. Now LGBTQ has like 95 days out of the year. Veterans get 2, fathers get 1, mothers get 1. But now they're trying to not do mother and father because it's gendered. So it's supposed to be Parent Day and then Parent Day. And Ghost made a comment about it. So
Absolutely not.
yeah, it's disgusting. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Happy Father's Day.
Do
Even
father
to anybody who has only cats, happy Father's Day.
That's still a father.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say something and then I'm going to end the stream because I'm probably going to get in trouble. That is called being father of the pussies.